Now you're going to be able to hear me.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, see, we haven't been around. We were going to try to do everything right. About 20 minutes ago, I had a power outage at my house for about an hour and a half, and I was like, "We've been gone." I was in the dark. I figured Tom would be mad when my camera wasn't on. I mean, what do you do when your power goes out?
I mean, you do the best you can, I guess. You get a backup generator. I don't know. I mean, if you have regular power outages, I mean, we have a generator because our power goes out, with some frequency where we live. So yeah, so we have a generator, but I mean, you make do the best you can, I guess, right?
Well, the show must go on, but I do wonder, I guess someday you got to get I guess as you get more professional and things like that, you probably need a generator at your house if you're going to be on weekly and things like that. Dr. Tachi, do you have a generator at your house?
No, but I actually need to get one. They have the ones from Anchor that I'm interested in getting that are solar powered.
Okay, that's pretty neat. Go on, Tom.
I was just gonna say I have a plan. I have lots of plans. Like, it's kind of my thing. I have lots of like ideas, plans, dreams, things I'd like to do eventually when I get there. But one of the things on that list is creating a battery backup system for my house. So basically the idea would be we stay connected to the grid. We have a battery bank, right? And that battery bank charges up. And then basically like do two things. Go to an electric plan where there are sort of on peak and off peak hours, right? So electricity is less expensive like overnight. And the idea would be you charge the batteries overnight when the electricity is cheaper, and then you use the batteries during the day when the electricity is more expensive. So you lower your bill, but then also what ends up happening is you have a power outage. Now you've got this big battery bank you can last for, and the idea would be to build a battery bank that would last at least a few days, like 2 days probably. And then worst case, power's out for more than 2 days. You have a generator, you start the generator up. Like I'm not going to throw away the generator that's sitting in my garage, right? I start the generator up, charge the batteries, right? So like that's the goal in the sort of longer term, scheme of things, is to have that battery bank that then the house runs off of essentially, during the day and stuff. But yeah, so kind of akin to what Dr. Tachi was talking about.
Okay, good stuff. Who knew we were going to talk about batteries today? They could have put that up in the thing, and nobody would have stopped by. Okay, what we wanted to talk about today, not the smartest guys in the room. Why do so many people say they want to do something, think about doing something, and not do it? And how do you overcome that? So, Tom, you just did an Ironman. You did multiple Ironmans. Like, a lot of people want to go for a walk. A lot of people want to go for a run. A lot of people want to. Why don't they do it? Why don't they start a business? What is it? Let's talk about that, and let's help people so if they are one of those people guilty of those types of things, that maybe after listening today, they'll say, hey, I'm gonna start that business. I'm gonna go for that run. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I think there's really two things that happen. One is, from the outside looking in, often things seem easier than they are, right? So we see somebody who is practiced at something, who spends a lot of time doing something, do a task, start a thing, launch a project, right? Like if you saw me swimming in the pool, thanks Dr. Tachi for the bless you, appreciate it, in the room chat. If you see me swimming in the pool, right? Like you might look at that and go like, well, I could never, or like I could swim like that. Like that doesn't look that hard, right? Like I'm working hard when I'm swimming in the pool or out running, whatever the case may be. Or like you see a video or a piece of content I create for a client and you might go, well, that I could do something like that, right? And what you miss when you kind of jump to that conclusion, and I'm 100% guilty of this myself, right, is from the outside looking in, you miss all of the extra experience, the years of time and work that have gone into developing the skill set to do those things, right? You miss all of that looking in from the outside. So I think that's one thing that happens, is things look easier from the outside looking in than they actually are, right? Or when we see people who are practiced at something or good at something do something, it seems easy to us, right? Or they make it look easy. So I think that's one thing. And then I think the other thing too is that like we are a lot of people are victims of sort of, you know, kind of like overly slick marketing, right? So like I mean, go through social media, go online, look through emails. Like, how often do we get these promotions for things that are like 3 easy steps to do blah blah blah, my simple method to do X, Y, and Z? Like, once you learn this, you'll never do it any other way, and you'll make millions of dollars, and like everyone will admire you, and you'll be famous, and blah 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 blah. Like all of that kind of over promising, under delivering kind of marketing. Well, we get caught up in that stuff too, right? And we get sold this bill of goods like, hey, it's super easy, anybody can do this. And then it turns out it's actually not that easy, and not anybody can do it, right? Because that's the truth, right? If it was easy to make millions of dollars and anyone could do it, we'd all be millionaires. Like, there's all of the proof you need that that's a line of bull, is that it simply isn't true. It's not that easy, and not anyone can do it. And that's the reason why we're not all, you know, incredibly wealthy, right? Because not everybody can do it. It's a confluence of events, it's skill, it's luck, it's circumstance, it's all kinds of things, it's privilege, right? So like there's all kinds of things that go into those successes, and we are kind of sold often this bill of goods by people who have either found success, achieved success, or been handed success. You know, we get sold this bill of goods that we can do it too. And the truth is, some of us can, but not everybody, right? And that's just the reality. We can't all be one thing. But I think those are the two big things that come to mind, is like people who are good at stuff make it look easy, and that kind of lulls us into a sense of false confidence that we can do the same. And we're the victims of kind of overly slick marketing that leads us to believe that we can do it. And then once you get into these things and you discover, hey, this is harder than I thought, right? Or this is going to take more work than I was led to believe, then you end up kind of failing to launch with it, right? So I think at the end of the day, for me, like you asked, I'll kind of come back around full circle to the Ironman thing that you mentioned before, that this is when I did Ironman Canada a little over a week ago, 10 days ago or so. That was my 5th full distance Ironman that I've done. And for me, I find pleasure in, as twisted as this may be, I find pleasure in and satisfaction in the work that goes into getting to race day, right? Like the race day is exciting, but the work that goes into it is really kind of where I find the happiness, right? Where I find the satisfaction and the sense of achievement is getting to race day, right? That's really the achievement, is getting there and then being able to do the race because you did the work in advance. And so I think if you're going to launch, right, if you're going to escape that failure to launch, if you're going to succeed with something, it has to be something that you derive joy or pleasure or satisfaction or fulfillment from the work that you have to do to achieve the thing, right? And that's, I mean, I know for myself, in places where I've kind of failed to launch, so to speak, professionally, it's in places where I just don't derive any joy or any pleasure or any satisfaction from the work. And so I stopped doing it, right? Because it's not fun, because I don't derive satisfaction from it. So I don't know. That's kind of where my head's at on failure to launch and kind of what causes it. But I would love to hear what you have to say, what the rest of the folks here have to say.
All right, let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna take a different approach on failure to launch. I live in this world where I don't want to be on my deathbed and say, I wish I would have. I wish I would have tried to run this race. I wish I would have tried to climb this mountain. I wish I would have asked this person, started this business, whatever. So I think a lot of people are just afraid of the outcome, afraid of failure, So the failure to launch is the fear of failure. And my question to you is, what's the worst that could happen? Like me, I've been broke. When I was in the restaurant business, I lost $500,000. Was broke. Okay. I still had a lovely family. I still worked my way back up. I have stories to tell. That was that. Shit happens. Life happens. But I mean, you're still breathing. You'll be all right no matter what happens when you try something. no matter what happens, you'll live to fight another days. That's where I will start this subject today. The fear isn't so bad. Even if you fail, even if all goes wrong, you still have a wife that loves you. You still have kids that love you. You still have friends that love you. You still have your heart still beating. You will be all right. So that's what I got. Failure to launch. Dr. Tachi would come around to Dr. Tachi Madison. If Kevin, Jim, Nazil, if you want to come up, come on up. So what do you got, Dr. Tachi?
Good morning and welcome back. It feels like I haven't been here in forever, and so it's good to be back on this wonderful Wednesday morning. But anyway, I think there are a few things that kind of lend to this. Number one is fear. I think people are just fearful of launching. And as you all have brought up, it's made to seem easier than what it is. And then when it ends up not being easy, not only is it not wanting to do it because it's hard, but also the fear that it's not going to succeed. And then people are very good at placing fear inside of you, especially if you're not surrounded by the right types of people. I think, sometimes people mean well, but it's not actually helpful because they're instilling fear in you, a fear that maybe you wouldn't have had, because fear often for that type of from that type of thing is learned, right? Just like you can, I don't know if people know this, but you can learn to be afraid of things like public speaking. There's that learned fear. You saw somebody else fail at public speaking, and so you figure that's also going to be your lot in life, and so you are fearful of it also. So that's one thing. Number two, I think there are many of us like myself that are forever students. We are constantly students, and so as my good friend and colleague Tom mentioned, there's a new shiny thing that pops up on social media or online or someplace else every 5 minutes. And then, especially when you interact with these things on social media, you keep getting more of these types of ads that advertise learn AI, learn this, learn how to bake a cake, etc., because you've interacted with it before. And the thought process then becomes, well, I need this. And it may be true that this is something that is helpful, but what happens is you stay in the learning phase forever and you never get to implementation phase because you have one more thing that you think you need to learn, or this is not quite right according to this guru, and so I need to improve that. So I think those are two things that can lend to it: the fear, and also the fact that we think we need more tools, education, etc., to implement something before we actually do it. So those are my thoughts.
Good stuff, Dr. Tachi. Thank you. I think you hit a lot of the nails on the head. What say you, Tom?
Yeah, I think that the way Dr. Tachi described that, like kind of like the shiny object, right? I mean, I agree with you too, Dom. Like, and I'm sure you saw me nodding. I agree with both of you on the fear side of things. It's something that I overlooked. My brain's a little bit weird. Like, I don't really have like much of a sense of fear per se. So like I tend to skip over that often when talking about these kind of things. But I think you're absolutely right. I think fear plays a big role in why people kind of fail to try things, to take the leap, to take the step forward, etc. But I really like what Dr. Tachi was talking about, like the new shiny object, right? And it's sort of like the new fancy tool, right? It's you need this tool. This tool is going to make your life easier. It's going to make everything better and everything faster and everything simpler and blah 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 blah. But using the tool in a way that accomplishes all of those things requires a level of expertise, right, or skill that you have to develop. And that's, I think, where people kind of stumble, right, is in developing the skill set to use the tool. And so they go from like shiny new tool and then they don't really use it, to like shiny new tool and then they don't really use it, to shiny new tool and they don't really use it. And you end up in this sort of cycle of getting the shiny new tool every time it pops up, but then never developing this requisite skill set to actually use that tool to its potential as advertised. And so you don't really accomplish anything with it. You end up moving on to the next shiny tool when it pops up.
May I
I,
add something? Sorry.
yeah, go on, Dr. Tachi.
Just to add to that, 100%. And they bank on the fact you may not use it because not everyone, but some of these places don't really care because you've already purchased or downloaded and they've gotten either the data or the money that they want for it. Because if they really did care, there would be some sort of follow up like, well, how did you like XYZ? And there are many companies that do that, many people who do that to make sure that the tool is meeting its expectations and follow up. But then there's some who just don't care. So if they really cared, there would be follow up, and often there's no.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of that, Dr. Tachi, is that sort of like that culture of like churn and transactions being sort of paramount, where it's sort of like, I don't really care if you become a repeat customer or a long-standing customer or a loyal customer. I'm not about building community. I'm about cash, right? Like I'm about mining cash out of people's pockets, and like whatever I have to sell them to get them to give me some money, I don't care if they use it well. I don't care if it helps them accomplish anything. I'll just find a new person to give me more cash, right? So like it's almost sort of that churn of the customer base that is very common, right? It's just about getting the one sale and then moving on to the next.
Truth. My phone is full of apps that you've been sold a bill of goods, and then I try it. I'm like, oh, I'll become great at this app. And then I buy it, and I'm like, this is the hardest thing I've ever used. Like you're saying, it's a whole new science. You see these pictures and you're like, oh, you can do this. You can send these. You can post 100 places at once. And then it's whatever that is. I mean, I'm guilty. I am guilty of this, buying these things and thinking, oh, this will solve it. And then a week later, I'm like, I'm going back to the ones I use. I'll get better at the ones I use rather than trying this new stuff. So I hear you there. Hey, I wanted to bring up on this. What about false comparison? Like when we're talking about what everybody else is doing, then time one, like let's say running, time one, you go out and you run a 18-minute mile and you're like, shit, I'm not running a race, or you produce your first video and you realize the audio sucks, the video sucks. There was people looking at me in the background, and then you quit. So does false comparison, how do anybody feel about that? We're coming, Tom and Dr. Chachi Madison, what do you think about false comparison? And
I mean, I think it absolutely plays a role. I think people don't give themselves grace and aren't fair to themselves when they make comparisons, right? Like if somebody wants to do the first, create their first video, it wouldn't be fair to them to compare that effort to like a piece of content that I turn out for a client, right? Like I've been doing this for like going on 25 years now, or 24 years, actually. 24 years in May is how long I've been in production, right? So like, I've been doing this for 24 years. Somebody in the first couple of months of their career should not compare their skill set or their level of experience to somebody who has decades more experience than them. It's just not fair. It's like, it's like going to the driving range for the first time and being mad that you're not hitting straight 300-yard drives like Tiger Woods. Like that's crazy. That's an insane comparison. It doesn't make any sense, but people do it all the time to themselves in other circumstances, and they don't recognize that they're creating these false comparisons and they're not being fair to themselves, right? Like compare yourself. I mean, I have this happen. It's like sort of a constant struggle, or at least it was. I think I've gotten past it now, interestingly. But like with my, athletic endeavors, when it came to triathlon, I used to always compare myself to like the pros. And it's crazy to do that. Like, first of all, I'm 15 to 20 years older than most of them, right? Like pros in their prime tend to be sort of mid 20s to early 30s, right? And I'm 46. So like I'm not the same age. So right there, it's an unfair comparison. I've never been a pro athlete. I've never competed at the level that they compete at. I don't train as much as they do. I don't train the same way that they do. Like all of these things make it a completely unfair comparison, besides the fact that I may not even have the sort of like, in fact, I would say I don't have the sort of, genetic, physical predisposition to becoming that level of athlete, right, in triathlon. Like, I just don't, it's just not a thing for me, right? Like, I don't have an insane VO2 max naturally, right? And you kind of need that sort of stuff to be able to do what those guys do, what those folks do, I should say, because the men and women are both incredible athletes, are all incredible athletes. But yeah, I mean, I think creating unfair comparison is a great way to talk yourself out of pushing forward through difficult times or challenges with something that you're trying to accomplish. I don't know. That's what I think. Curious to hear, Madison. We haven't heard from Madison yet. So, Madison, where do you stand on failure to launch and maybe false comparisons that we were just talking about?
Well, I totally agree with everything that you and Dr. Tachi have said so far, and I definitely think it is a discouraging cycle that you can get wrapped up in. Like Tom, how you were talking about earlier, maybe you'll look at something, a tool or like a project, and you think it's going to be easier than it is, or you get really motivated and excited right away, and then maybe you jump into it a little too soon. You don't take the time to research what you're doing or learn a new skill set, and then you get sort of stuck in these comparisons where, well, I'm not as good as this content creator, or I don't really have a vision for my brand or something like that, and then it sort of discourages you from continuing to make progress, and then you move on to the next thing. And I think that you have to hold yourself accountable for breaking that cycle and really give things a go, before you let, I guess, procrastination and discouragement get in the way of you accomplishing things. And I definitely think the sports analogy is perfect. I'm a pretty sporty person. I pick things up easily. And the first time I went skiing, I thought I wouldn't need a lesson, and I was very wrong. And I haven't been skiing since. And this is when I was 16. So I think that analogy really can carry over into a lot of new things that you may want to try, shiny new things, as you said, in life. I think that definitely is a great analogy for a lot of things.
Well said, Madison. I too am somebody that has fallen on my head many times as a skier who started late in life, and I see my cousins or my buddies like going down these hills so easy. I'm like, I'm not going down that hill. Like, are you nuts? And they'll go, oh, come on. So I'm trying, but I'm behind. And then they're like, hey, let's go to Val. I'm not ready. The mountains in Pennsylvania are 2,500 feet, not 12,000. And they're, oh, it'll be great. Snow's good out here. Well, what the hell are you talking about? I want to put in more reps, more times down the slope. So that's my answer there. Good stuff, Madison. Tom, any thoughts on that? Because it is almost time for something.
Yeah, all I would say is totally appreciate where Madison's coming from. The one thing I would say is go try skiing again, get a lesson, right? Like, I think it's one of those things. It's been a couple of years. I probably this year when I go skiing, I will probably take a lesson, just because you tend to fall into bad habits. Like, I've been skiing for I don't know, since I was about 12 or something like that. It was the first time I was on skis, but and I would be considered probably an advanced to expert skier at this point. But it always helps to have somebody look at what you're doing, look at how you're carving turns, where you're putting weight on your edges, and like give you some feedback to help you from falling into bad habits, right? Which is what tends to happen with people who've skied for a long time. You tend to fall into bad habits. You don't get a tune up at any point, and then you end up kind of becoming a worse skier for not doing those things. So I would say try skiing again. Go get a lesson, have some fun with it. Don't put too much expectation on yourself. Just try to get the little things down, right? Like go take a lesson and just try to get down the slope on a couple of turns with your skis parallel, rather than using the old snowplow, or what I guess they call pizza. They'll say make a piece of pizza, right? So there's like pizza and French fries, right? So it's like pizza is when you're doing the snowplow and your tips are close together, and then French fries is when your skis are parallel. At least that's what they use for lessons with kids. So we'll be doing that with Isla for sure. She'll be doing pizza and French fries in a couple of years here. We'll get her on some skis. So yeah, anyway, I would say go try it again. Take a lesson.
Yeah, I'm in full support of that and totally agree with you. I would love to learn to ski at some point in my life, and I think the fear does doesn't lie in putting in the reps and practicing. It's like embarrassing myself in front of people who have been practicing for years. And that I think also can carry over into a lot of things. It's like, well, I don't want to be embarrassing. So I'm just not even gonna try. But yeah, I've gotten over that feeling, and I definitely have ski trips in my mind in the future. So pizza, French fry all day.
Hey, Madison, come to Pennsylvania. I'll use one of my buddy passes on you. I want to go over this fear of embarrassment. It would think most people, when you like, let's say you go to a gym, like I used to do CrossFit. Nobody gets more respect at CrossFit than the person coming for the first time, than the person that you would think might not be in, would feel like they shouldn't be in that gym. They get more love, more support, because the communities, like when I do go skiing with my cousins and stuff that say, let's go down these Black Diamond Hills. When I fall, they sit there and show me how to pizza, how to French fry, how to go on edges. I think the people who have been there, because they've done it, they've fallen, so it is not weird to them. There's more embarrassment. I believe this. There's more like almost like this fear to launch that we're talking about. There's more negative connotations for the people that aren't out there at all. Tom's shaking his head, so
I was nodding. I wasn't shaking my head.
Nod, shakes.
Shakes are no. Shakes are. I disagree. This is a shake.
Yes.
Nodding is agree, right? So I was nodding, not shaking.
Sometimes in Madison, since you do editing, you can sometimes when you write like dialogue in a book or in let's say you've written nod 100 times, through dialogue. He nodded, she shook his head, whatever. You need more words for that. A nod, shake, not Madison. Quick tip: you got anything other than nod and shake to people? He bobbed his head, he nodded his head. What do you got for us?
Oh, that's a toughie, and I'm a huge advocate for a thesaurus, so I would have to take out my trusty dusty thesaurus. Maybe, dang it, you're putting me on the spot.
Right.
I haven't had my coffee, my whole coffee yet.
Hey, I'm gonna clip this. Madison, the editor, can't come up with another word from Bob. It's time. It's that time of the day for America's favorite segment. This is when we ask Tom about something from pop culture, something going on in the world, and get his take. Tom one day said I posted something about empathy, and his response in the comments was, Dominic doesn't have a lot of empathy when he asked me about Tom Thumb's questions. So, because I do Epstein, I do all this stuff. So today we're going to keep it wholesome. Now, Liz brought up this idea, my wife, and I'm going to think Tom gets mad about it. He might even say he doesn't know about it, but I have to ask, Tom, what do you think about this beautiful romantic relationship between Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson?
So I don't know much about it other than like I've seen some clips of things online about them sort of, kind of really hitting it off. My understanding is they were in a film together recently, right? And obviously Pamela Anderson has kind of been back in the spotlight a little bit, or some attention's been on her in the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer. I think she was one of the people that sort of spearheaded this sort of no makeup movement, right? For a lot of women in celebrity actors, musicians. I know Alicia Keys was also somebody that was a big sort of proponent of this, to kind of like shrug off this, cultural or societal pressure that women in particular feel to have a ton of makeup on, to really sort of like make themselves look different in order to go in front of the camera or to be seen as acceptable in public. So I know Pamela Anderson been getting a little bit more attention. She was in this film, I guess, with Liam Neeson. I don't know if it was I don't think it wasn't the Naked Gun movie, was it? Or it is? Okay. All right. So it's the Naked Gun movie. I've not seen it, but I've heard good things. I've heard it's actually really good and that it's very funny. So I'm curious to see it, because I grew up watching the original Naked Gun and thought it was hilarious. Like, just loved the sort of simple slapstick, deadpan comedy of it. Really, really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, and I guess there's been some like speculation, and of course, like two famous people, Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, and people are, weighing in and giving opinions. And I'm like, just like, I think like anybody else, I'm like, just leave them alone. Like, just let them be, right? Let it, like, whatever it is, let it be. If they share things, then fine, comment about it. But like, I don't know, all this like over speculation about stuff just seems to be unwarranted and kind of a waste of time and energy, right? If they're having if they have a budding romance, great. If they're happy, great, good for them. Like, happy that they're happy. But other than that, I don't really care, right? Like, I can't be bothered. I haven't really thought about it at all. I've heard about it, haven't thought about it much. Don't really care to speculate about it. Don't really care what other people think about it. They can keep their opinions to themselves. So, like, in terms of the speculation and the hubbub and the sort of celebrity buzz around them having a relationship, all of that, as per usual, gets a thumbs down from me. I would give that a thumbs down whether it was Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson or anyone else. I don't really care, and I think it's kind of a lot of wasted effort and energy. I'm not that bothered about it. But on the flip side of that, if two people have found someone that makes them happy and they're having a good time together, then like, cool, that always gets a thumbs up. I like it when people are happy together, when people are having fun together and exploring a new relationship. Like, that's a good thing. I think interpersonal relationships are great, and I'll always give people a thumbs up for that. So thumbs up for them personally, and thumbs down for all the crap that goes on in the sort of like celebrity gossip sphere around it. That all gets a thumbs down. It's all just a waste of effort and energy.
You are Tom is cracking me up. Dr. Chachi, what do you think about? There's nobody that cares less about pop culture than Tom. It's hilarious. I'm sitting here dying. What do you think?
As far as whether or not anybody cares less about pop culture than Tom?
Yes, yeah, that's what I need to answer.
I think I agree, but it's not bad. I think also Tom has such a high moral compass when it comes to these things, and and I love pop culture because pop culture encompasses a lot of things. That's food, that's celebrity life, etc. But when it comes to the celebrity thing, he has such a high moral compass. He thought, I can't be bothered with such swill. Be gone. I love it.
I should have asked him about that bug that was on J-Lo's dress while she was singing. Did anybody see how giant that bug was?
No, where was this?
Oh, come on, this is great. This is professionalism too. So J-Lo's singing and her voice is cracking, and it's not, she's doing her thing, and there's like this cricket or something. It looks like, it's coming up her whole body, and you can see this thing. It looks like a dog on her. And then it gets like right up to her neck and starts crawling on her neck. And then she just, like, without missing a beat in the song, just takes it off her neck and throws it out that way, like it was part of the dance routine. Tom's got to come. Now, I bet if I look through Tom's cookies on his computer, it's probably Liam Neeson, Pam Anderson, J-Lo bug.
So here's the thing is, I would say this. I don't care at all about, in particular, celebrity gossip, right? Like, the whole celebrity gossip thing is completely lost on me. I just can't be asked to even give a toss about it. I just don't. Like, the bug thing, haven't heard about it, haven't seen it. I see random snippets here and there because, like, obviously I'm online, I'm in the sort of digital world. The thing I would say that I do, like, I don't know if I pay attention to it, but I am at least much more aware of and interested in is, to some extent, like, pop culture when it comes to things like food, travel, just like cultural, cultural exploration, like things like that. Those interest me. Celebrity gossip, I just don't care, right? They're actually not nearly as interesting as a lot of people sort of give them credit for being. Celebrities, that is. That's the they I'm talking about. They're not nearly as interesting as they often get credit for. So yeah, so I just can't be bothered. But like, when it comes to food, hey, you want to talk about food, we talk about food all day long, right? Like, I love to cook, I like to try new things. I've eaten all kinds of stuff. I've been all over the world and eaten things, eating local food in all kinds of places. So like I'm happy to talk about food pop culture, like sure.
I'll expand my horizons now that
Yeah.
food goes into pop culture.
Yeah. I don't care if J-Lo's got 1,000 bugs on her. It doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, other than that might be funny to watch.
But it's professionalism too, like show go on, but yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of my favorite, in that vein, one of my favorite sort of pop culture moments, this is going back a few years, was when Mariah Carey was singing, I think it was at a New Year's, I think it was New Year's Rockin' Eve or whatever with Ryan Seacrest, and she was singing and forgot the words to her own song. And there's this moment where she just kind of she clearly doesn't know the words, and it's really funny. And the backing track just keeps going, and she's just kind of walking around on stage, not doing anything. It's really, really funny. But I like that because it's basically a fail video, and I'm a sucker for a good fail video, a good sort of slapstick, fall. I loved the Three Stooges when I was a kid. So any of those videos where you see somebody wipe out on a water slide or slide on ice, I like those, so long as they don't lead to serious injury. I draw the line there. When it's somebody just falls down or trips or whatever, and it's funny, or their chair collapses or things like that. But when people get seriously injured, I don't find that funny. Just to be clear, those videos I don't really watch, because I'm that's I don't want to laugh at that. That's a little too dark, for me.
True that. I'll send you some videos like that. Okay. Not the smartest guys, failure to launch. Okay, let's get a tip. Let's get a few tips so that when in the replay, when people are listening, wherever they're at, streaming, whatever, listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, that they can say, hey, I got a takeaway here. So failure to launch, ways to avoid it. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Tachi. Then I'm going to go to Madison, Tom, and me. Jimmy, if you want to type something in, go in. But ways to avoid that paralysis by analysis, whatever it is. So what do you got, Dr. Tachi? You have a tip for us?
So you're asking ways to avoid?
Ways to go for it. So rather than sitting on the sideline saying, I wish I would have, how do you just jump? I was watching Meet the Millers the other day, and the Jason, whatever his name is, he tells the kid, he's like, whatever it is you want to do, you just count to 3 and do it. Okay, well that's fair. I mean, it might not always work, but so something like that.
I agree. You just have to start, right? But realize that your starting place may be different from everybody else's. To stop, as you were talking about the comparison, to start where you are. I remember when I started Mediascope. So it's we actually just celebrated 10 years on July 29th. So I just decided Periscope and Meerkat have been around now for a few months, and I wanted to do something, but I wasn't sure what. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I teach. I don't necessarily have everything proper to make this setup work, but I'm just going to do it and improve as I go along. And that's what I did. And so I just decided one day, well, I'm just going to go live and I'm going to talk about media tech and pop culture news. And that's what I did. I didn't necessarily think about it. I took the time to watch what was happening. I didn't just blindly go. I watched what was happening, and then I went live, and I've been going live ever since. So I think the thing is to just do it. Don't think too much about it. Be prepared, but don't over prepare, if that makes any sense. Prepare to go, and not prepare to go, if that makes sense.
I think it's beautiful, Dr. Tachi. Well done. Madison, do you have a tip for us? You got the subject. What do you got?
I think something that helps me get motivated and get stuff done is talking about it and sort of hyping myself up, because I am very excited about my pursuits. And so talking about it and sort of almost not bragging, but it's psyching myself up. I call my mom and I tell her all about it. I tell my friends. When people at my restaurant job ask me, what else I do, I love to give them a spiel. And I think psyching myself up and reminding myself that I'm excited to be here and proud of what I've accomplished so far. I think that helps me just keep, putting one foot in front of the other.
Great reminder. Celebrate those wins. Mr. Langan, what do you have some tips for us? What do you got?
Yeah, I think, probably the biggest one that comes to the top of my mind in talking about this is once you've sort of established that this is genuinely something you want to do, right? It's not a shiny object that you're chasing. It's something that you are invested in, that you are dedicated to, that you really want to accomplish, right? But you're daunted by potentially. I would say my best advice would be create accountability for yourself. And that can come in a variety of ways. It could be announce it publicly, announce it in a public forum, put it out into the world, right? And create expectation for it. In which case, people will follow up naturally over time. People in your orbit, friends, family, followers, audience, customers, whatever the case may be, will follow up and say, "Hey, you said you were going to do this thing. How's that going? When can we expect that?" Right? So I think that's a really good way to do it. The other is to reach out to a friend, a colleague, a mentor, and ask them to hold you accountable, right? Ask them to follow up with you. And I know for me, the way that works the best is when I ask someone to just follow up. I am kind of like, I have a thing, it's a quirk of my personality, right? But I have a thing where if somebody tells me to do something, I immediately don't want to do it. Right? You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And my immediate response is sort of my guttural response is, oh, I have to? Yeah, watch me not. Right? Like that's kind of how I react to that sort of accountability. But if someone follows up with me and says, "Hey, how is this going? What have you been doing? How is it going? How can I help? What do you need?" Like that kind of supportive accountability works really well for me, right? It gets me off my butt, keeps me moving, and keeps me pushing in the right direction. So that's my sort of big tip is create accountability for yourself. There's a variety of ways you can do it, but once you create that accountability, that will oftentimes help you get all the way to the finish line that you're trying to cross. So that's my thinking. But yeah, now we've gone all around the room. I think with no one else to give us a tip, I think there's only one thing left to do, Dom, and that's for you to show us and tell us about something.
Okay, today I have something Pittsburghers would consider the worst show and tell. This name has come up a few times here, but today I'm going to share my Sid Bream starting lineup figure. Sid Bream is the worst because he played for the Pirates in the 90s. And then when we were about to make the World Series, he went to the Atlanta Braves, and against us, he scored in the playoffs and killed. We talked about him ruining my childhood before because it came up someday. But here's Sid Bream. I probably should take this and burn it or something like that. But here it is, Sid Bream, starting lineup figure that ruined my childhood, Tom. But I looked through a box, and there was a Sid Bream sitting there. And so that's what I had. So since the 90s, we've lost for 30 straight years, and it's the curse of Sid Bream. That's what it is. That's what I got. The worst show and tell.
Sid Bream, you son of a...
How dare he?
How dare you curse Pittsburgh Pirates fans to 30 years of losing? Where do you get off, sir?
If I could pop this head off,
you'd be cheered all throughout Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'd be a hero. Local man pops head off Sid Bream and ends
the curse. I also total side note, I want a Pittsburgher to also be a style of burger.
I had a Roethlisberger when I owned a restaurant. I don't know if I had a Pittsburgher.
I want it to be a style of burger. What would be on if a Pittsburgher was a style of burger? What would be on a Pittsburgher?
Well, I think since so many people copy it, I think you're talking. I bet if you went somewhere, I bet the Pittsburgher is a burger, and I would think they have coleslaw and fries on the sandwich, and I would think that would be the Pittsburgher.
So you think it's a Primanti Brothers sort of homage or ripoff, depending on how you look at it. But you think it's a burger with fries and slaw on it like a Primanti sandwich.
That's what I would think would be. It would be a standard because even salads here pretty much come with French fries. Like if I go somewhere and they give me a salad that doesn't have French fries, I'm like, wait a minute, what are they trying to give me?
What other food is sort of unique to Pittsburgh?
Well, a lot of pierogies, kibasi, halushki, a lot of like heavy.
Halushki.
Halushki is a mix of like almost like an egg noodle and cabbage and a ton of butter.
Okay.
And then it breaks down. And man, some people say halushki. Yep, it's great. I mean, it is overload. So like when they have fish fries in the summer, or like fish fries during Lent and things like that. So fish fries, Lent, Friday, you pick up these giant fish sandwiches. And then you can get sides of halushki, sides of pierogies, and stuff like that. That would be those would be the fixtures of food, I believe.
I think, or so I think you could do it two ways, right? You could do the Primanti homage, or like a Pittsburgher could be like a one big pierogi on top of the burger, right? That is like maybe a little bit of potato in there, but mostly cheese.
Okay. I guarantee they have that. And even at like the baseball games, you can get a hot dog with pierogies on top of it. It has a hot dog, pierogies on top of it, and then a bunch of other things. I saw my son eat in this giant monstrosity one time.
That sounds ridiculous. Hey, yeah. I got something.
Go on.
Something I want to show you. I mentioned it months ago, and my daughter actually found it for me in a bowl on our coffee table, and she has started playing with it. I've now brought it up, and it's on my desk so that it doesn't go missing when the baby hides it somewhere, as you know, little kids are wont to do. They take things and put them places that you would never look for them. But it is my favorite character from Sesame Street. To no one's surprise, was Oscar the Grouch, you know, because obviously, I mean, who else would it be? So I've got this is my little Oscar the Grouch, and he like pops up out of the can, and I'll hold it up here so hopefully it'll focus on it. There we go. And you can see, oh, there's his face. You can see his little face there, kind of. And yeah, and then you can drop him back into the can. But this is
was this your Oscar the Grouch?
Oh yeah, I've had this since I was a little kid.
So yeah, maybe your Oscar the Grouch is shtick, Tom.
What's that?
I said maybe it's all shtick.
It's not shtick. It's like, I mean, he was my favorite character when I was like 5 years old.
No, I'm saying ever since then, like mom and dad bought you all a bunch of Oscar the Grouches, and and that's what you turned into.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's the only one that I have. I don't have like a stuffed Oscar the Grouch or anything. I feel like I did at one point, but I don't anymore. But yeah, I mean, that's he was my favorite character on Sesame Street. I used to love it when Oscar the Grouch would pop up.
Now that we need to see more like the history of Tom. That's a new segment, the history of Tom. It'll be like, I want one thing from Tom's history that makes him who he is today. And it would be like, oh, here's Oscar the Grouch. Here's my report card ripped in half when my parents said it wasn't good enough.
I have no idea where my report cards are from when I was a kid, but I guarantee they all say not living up to his potential. All of them.
My mom collected them, and I have them in that closet, and they are all like, Dom is very goofy, but he works hard. Dom talks a lot, but I guess he's trying.
Every single one of mine said not living up to his potential. Like that was every teacher was like, yeah, he obviously can do all this, like can do what we're doing, but he doesn't apply himself. He's not living up to his potential.
I don't know.
I was bored in school. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, because they're so traditional, and they should be teaching 1,000 other things. But we'll talk about that another day.
A different day. On another episode of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, we will fix our education system.
Yeah, so we talked about energy. We started off talking about living off the grid and energy. We learned that Tom really is all in on Liam Neeson and the Pamela Anderson relationship, and now we're going to fix the educational system. So, Tom, would you wrap us up like only you can?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, as per usual, we've been all over the map a little bit. For the record, the plan with the battery backup is to stay connected to the grid, not to go off grid. I'm not moving to the woods in the middle of nowhere where like I'm completely off grid. I'm not homesteading. Like that's not the plan. It's too much work. I'm not interested in that, and I don't find joy in that kind of work. So, for people who do, that's awesome for them. But for me, I don't find joy in that. I don't want to be a homesteader. So not doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think, look, circling back to the topic at hand, and as you mentioned, Dom, I'll just kind of look at it through the lens of Ironman, right? Of my triathlon pursuits. And I think, when it comes down to it, the reason why I stuck with it, the reason why I started now, I did my first triathlon, my first ever, not Ironman, but my first ever triathlon a month before I turned 40 years old. So this has not been something that I've always done, right? This is something I came to relatively late for an athletic pursuit, right? 40 is not when most people start doing endurance athletics, right? But I was told by people that I trusted and believed, including my wife, that I could do it if I wanted to. And so then the question became not can I, but do I want to, right? And it was something that had been sort of a weird dream in the back of my mind since I was a kid. I remember a buddy of mine and I seeing a magazine article, I think it was in Sports Illustrated, about the Ironman World Championships in Kona when we were kids, right? Like in the 80s, about the Ironman triathlon race in Kona. And I, I kind of had it in the back of my mind since then. It's something that had sort of been filed away and I'd basically forgotten about. And then when somebody suggested, that I try triathlon, and I did my first sprint triathlon just before I turned 40 and found some pleasure in it, right? Some joy in the process and in the race itself. I decided that I wanted to do more. And I had people around me saying, hey, look, if you want to do it, you can. And I think that was really crucial to me actually taking the leap and jumping into triathlon in my 40s and doing my first Ironman. I did my first Ironman when I was 43. So yeah, I mean, and here I am, having done 5 Ironman races now. I'm set to do my 6th next month when I go to Nice to compete in the World Championships as an age grouper. So if you want to, I would say surround yourself with people that tell you you can and support you and create accountability for you. And if people are, embarrassed by your struggles, embarrassed by the fact that you aren't immediately an expert at these things that you're trying to accomplish, well, then surround yourself with other people, right? Find people who will support you, find people who will encourage you, find people who will push you in the right direction, and you can do anything you set your mind to. And I'm living proof of that. So that's what I would say. That's how I would leave it for everybody. I hope that helps. Maybe it gets somebody to overcome their failure to launch in some way, shape, or form. In the meantime, thanks to everybody for being here this week. We really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being with us and supporting us. We do this for you because Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. Thank you for being a part of this, being a part of the show, being a part of this community. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And until next time, which we haven't talked about, is probably going to be in 2 weeks again. Let's just keep this 2-week thing going because summer hours, But yeah, so until we see you guys again, I love you, appreciate you. Have a great week or two, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.